Hey guys, so I started lifting just over a year ago now, and since then I've kind of been riding the newbie gains train, and I've been getting all the gains without putting in too much effort. But in the last few months, I've definitely started to plateau, and I'm not getting those newbie gains anymore. And I really just want to do something different with my body. I want to be able to shape it more. I want to make more progress, and so I think it has become time for my very first official tiny little clean bulk. Now, some people say a clean bulk is where you are in a caloric surplus and only eating like clean, healthy foods as opposed to just eating a bunch of burgers and fries and unhealthy things. And some people say that a clean bulk is where you're in a smaller caloric surplus, whereas a dirty bulk would be in a larger caloric surplus. I'm going to be sticking with both definitions of the clean bulk. I'm going to be in a smaller caloric surplus and eating clean, healthy foods because that's what I do and that's what makes me feel good, and I'm gonna stick to that and not just eat a bunch of bad foods because I'm trying to put on muscle. A lot of you have been asking me in the comments what my macros are and if I track my macros, so I thought today would be a perfect time to sit down and recalculate my macros and show you guys how I do it and what my final results are. So I'm going to be using two different macro calculators today. Until recently, the IIFYM calculator would have been the only one that I used, but they made some changes recently where now you have to pay to get certain features. I ain't paying for that. So we're going to start with the IIFYM calculator, and I will link both of these in the description so you guys can calculate your own macros too. So we come to the website, blah, 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 fill in all the information. The reason that I like the IIFYM calculator so much is because of how much data they take in, and it gives you the most accurate output, because the websites that take in like your height, weight, gender, and age or whatever are super inaccurate because they're not accounting for a bunch of other stuff. So I am a woman, I am 22, I am 5'2". I weighed myself yesterday and I was 111 pounds. My goal weight, I don't really have a goal weight right now, but I'm just gonna go with 105. I know that sounds low, but I'm tiny. B, my like ideal physique would be somewhat similar to Heidi Summers. Is that her name? Buff Bunny? What's her face? She's like my height. I think her weight is like around 105 last time I remember her saying something about it, so I'm just gonna go with that. But at the end, I'm still gonna put in that I want to gain weight. So I'm gonna go with the total body weight formula because unfortunately, you gotta pay for, no, I didn't lose my password. Right? Okay, yeah, you gotta pay for the lean mass formula. So going with total body weight formula, my daily activities, I am very sedentary. Like outside of the gym, I don't get much activity, which is really not a good thing, and I'm working on it. And then exercise output. So this is why I really like the IIFYM calculator, because it separates your daily activity from your workouts, so you don't have to like kind of average the two and figure out where you stand. So I go to the gym 5 days a week. I spend about 90 minutes in the gym. I do about 30 minutes of cardio sometimes. Currently I'm doing 30 minutes of cardio. And then I do about 45 minutes to an hour of lifting. But I get really distracted between sets and I take a lot longer than I should. So I'm gonna put in 60 minutes at a difficult level, because my cardio would be 30 minutes of like intense, and then my weightlifting is like 45 minutes to an hour of like moderate to difficult. So I'm bumping down the time a little bit and then averaging the difficulty. I don't know if that makes sense. But this is what worked for me when I was doing my maintenance calories, so I'm sticking with it for this. Okay, now I'm gonna set my goal. I'm bulking, so I'm gonna do this twice actually, because I am not the kind of person that likes to stick to a very rigid like macro number. I like to have kind of a little bit of room to play around and not have to worry about hitting my macros exactly. So I'm gonna calculate it the first time at 5%, which is a cautious bulk, so that would be a clean bulk by the definition, where you're doing a caloric surplus, but like a small surplus. So here it gives you the calories, and then to get your macros, you have to do the button. Where'd it go? Name, Marissa. Email, MissFitAndNerdy@gmail.com. Click the thing. Yay! So it's going to send me my macros, but in the meantime, while I wait for that, I'm going to recalculate this whole thing, but just with a 10% bulk instead of a 5% bulk. Cool. So My macros are being sent to my email, and we'll take a look at those, and then we'll use the second macro calculator to fine-tune them. Okay, I've got my email up, so let's take a look at my results. So we can skip all of the boring words because they're just boring words, and we're just gonna go straight to the numbers. So the important number, total calories, is 1920. So this is for my 5% increase in caloric intake. This is from my estimated TDEE of 1829, which is what you burn every day, including exercise. So increasing that by 5% gets me 1920, and it recommends 105 grams of protein, 47 grams of fat, and 270 grams of carbs. This is where I want to do some tweaking of my own and why we're using a second calculator. So this was for the smallest bulk, and now we have the second email with the slightly bigger bulk, and that gives me a total of 2,012 calories with very similar macros you can see. 105 grams protein, 47 grams of fat, and 293 grams of carbs. Who was texting me? And why are they interrupting me? Stop it. What happened with the IIFYM calculator is it used to let you adjust your levels of proteins and fats and carbs while keeping your total net calories the same, and that was a super useful tool because me personally, I don't want to be eating close to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I think that's a little bit excessive because studies show that eating any more than 1 gram of protein or 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is kind of completely pointless. So as long as you're between 0.7 and 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you're good. So I try to aim for around 0.8-ish. So that brings me way below 105 grams of protein, and it doesn't let me do that anymore. It won't let me adjust the rest of the things, and then I have to do all the math myself. But thankfully, Miss Katy Hearn of Katy Hearn Fitness, I don't actually know who she is, I just know she's a famous fitness person. She has a website with a macro calculator that lets you adjust the grams of things and does all the math for you. So we're gonna go do that now so that I can figure out how many grams of whatever I should actually be eating based on how I feel when I eat certain ways. I have been tracking my calories on and off now for probably close to 5 to 7 years. I think I started in high school, so I have a pretty good idea of what macronutrient ratios work best for my body. So that's why I'm not listening to this calculator, because I know myself better than a little online free calculator does. That being said, if you don't track calories that often or you're just starting to track calories, I think what IIFYM gives you is a very good starting point, but you should keep in mind that it is not completely customized to you. So it's a very good starting point if you stick with the numbers they give you for a few weeks, see how you feel, and then change it up a little bit. Maybe increase protein, decrease fat, or decrease protein, increase carbs, or whatever, and just see how your body responds. You have to play around with it for a little while to figure out what works best for your own body. So this is Katy Hearn's website. I don't know why her face is cut off in this picture, but we're just gonna go down to the macro calculator. Gonna put in my information again. So this is why I wouldn't use her calculator to start off with, is because the exercise level doesn't give you a daily activity option and an exercise option. It lumps it all together. So when I calculate exercise 5 times per week, it gives me the right answer because it assumes I'm sedentary outside of that. But if you have an extremely active job or you're just very active throughout the day, this calculator is going to be very off. So I'm going to go for a moderate weight gain, and then I can customize my nutrition plan. So I'm going to go with 0.8 grams per pound of body weight and just see what that gives me. I like to eat a lot more fat, so I'm going to go with 0.55 grams per pound of body weight, and then it automatically calculates the carbs based on how much protein and fat you want to eat. So calculate. It gives me 253 grams of carbs, 88 grams of protein, and 61 grams of fat for a total of 1917 calories. That sounds pretty good for what I personally feel best eating. Okay, so 1,917 calories with these macros gives me the low range of what I want to be eating in a day. And if I recalculate on Katy Hearn's website with the 10% surplus, it only increases my carbs, which is not what I want to do. What I'm personally going to do, because what I know is going to work best for my body, is to, when I go over that, when I'm getting closer to, 2,012 calories is what IIFYM told me? Yeah, when I get closer to that, I'm going to eat more fats and proteins because that's what I feel better doing. So I'm going to be sticking to roughly 253 grams of carbs, 88.8 grams of protein, or a little bit more, and then 61.1 grams of fat or a little bit more there, trying to cap out at 2,012 calories. Oh, and also one frequently asked question that I see all the time about macros is, if you're sticking to your routine consistently, you should eat the same number of calories every day rather than eating less on your rest days, because it already takes the rest days into account. And I'm sure there's gonna be at least one person that asks this, so my go-to fitness tracking app is MyFitnessPal. It does have the issue where you can't really customize the grams of your macros. You have to do it by percentages, so you can't get it quite accurate. But if you have your macros memorized, like it's 3 numbers, it's not that difficult. You can just see what numbers you're hitting and just know if you're hitting them or not, and not let the app tell you that you're like, oh, you're eating too much or you're not eating enough. Just like ignore what it's telling you and just pay attention to the numbers. So I think that's all I'm gonna cover in this video today. If you guys do want more information about calculating your macros or how to track your macros, macro, whatever questions, leave them down below. Maybe I'll do a macro Q&A. Maybe I'll just answer them in the questions if there aren't that many questions. Be sure to subscribe so you can follow me on this journey of my first ever clean bulk to see if I can grow that booty. Hit that thumbs up button if you liked it, because it really supports me and my little channel here, and share this video if you think other people would find it helpful. I know a lot of people are wondering how to calculate their macros, so if someone's like, hey friend, how do you calculate your macros? Just be like, here, watch this video so that you don't have to do any of the work explaining it. And I will see you guys very shortly. Bye-bye.